Do
So
you feel that the mass surveillance of citizens in the United States was part of the masses of data that the NSA was taking in? Was it that mass of data that caused the surveillance agencies to miss the individuals responsible for 9/11?
well, that's sort of a two-part question. It is fair to say that the legacy systems and the legacy approach to data, which was always find the the nuggets of SIGINT gold um, out against hard targets or targets in which you classified, in terms of your ability to intercept and monitor, were considered secret. And it was always a very limited set of data with respect to targets traditionally, historically, and yet they were secret. The ability of NSA to conduct extraordinary surveillance against foreign targets in many respects for all legitimate purposes in terms of foreign intelligence. Um, that all changed in the 1990s with the advent of the digital age. Internet exploded into the public consciousness in the early 90s, particularly with web, although that had been created sometime before. But the World Wide Web, as we know it today, really became a cultural phenomena, and it clearly was this dramatic shift from the analog world, although the analog world continues to exist to this day, to the digital world. And with that came massive amounts of data. And I saw that happening in the 90s. NSA just didn't know what to do about it. But it was clear that the historical approaches to understanding the nuggets, or what was usually historically referred to as indications and warning, those methods, those approaches came up way short. They were not adequate for the task in the digital age. And so part of the tragedy is after 9/11 is like, hey, we're getting access, or we can get access to all this data. While we're doing that, hey, what the heck? We'll just get even more of it. And that was the decision. It was literally, I would continuously hear this, right? We just need the data. We just need the data. We just need data, as if getting more data was the answer to what was, although largely ignored and buried, was a failure to keep people out of harm's way. It is true, 9/11 was a strategic failure of very massive proportions. NSA has been able, up until even this very day, it continues to hide behind the FBI, the CIA, and others. It was a systemic failure, but NSA has significant, I've even said in the past, primary culpability. But the critical pieces of information, those nuggets, because NSA also, ironically enough, did not consider internet worth knowing about, because it's like, hey, nothing's secret, it's open, it's just an extraordinary you talk about sort of the tragedy of what could have been in terms of preventing 9/11 or blunting it, or preventing the attack planning to actually proceed in the manner in which it ultimately did. NSA largely argued, and I remember my own discussions, internally, even when I was there as a contractor in the 1990s. There's nothing worth knowing. There's nothing worth knowing. There's no secrets on internet.